Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Kay and I'm going to tell you how I finally got my Asperger's diagnosis last year in 2019. My previous attempts at getting a diagnosis were pretty unpleasant and didn't really work out for me. I felt that locally in Singapore, there wasn't anything that could be done, so I decided to get my diagnosis done overseas. And there were a few factors that went into my decision. So first of all, getting a diagnosis will absolutely make no difference to my working or schooling life here in Singapore. It's just not recognized, even more so if you're an adult over the age of 18. Secondly, there's a possibility that it may affect my insurance. So although the insurance company that I got my policies from don't have an issue with insuring autistic people, there are other companies that do. I have read the blog entry from Mr. Brown, our local Singaporean blog father. His daughter is autistic and he has problems with an insurance company, which I shall not name, that has problems insuring autistic people. So that's another factor in my decision. I don't want to take the risk of having this diagnosis in my records locally. And thirdly, I was very frustrated with all the attempts and it wasn't that cheap either. So going the public route here through the polyclinics and subsequently to IMH, the Institute of Mental Health, would cost a few $100s in total. And there's no guarantee that I will get an accurate diagnosis because every step of the way I actually met with problems and doctors not believing me, like they were telling me, oh, you can't be autistic, you're just OCD. And I don't think that it's good for them to throw terms around like that either. The private route in Singapore would cost around $300 a session, and that would be pretty expensive. It takes multiple sessions, anywhere from 3 sessions onwards. That would cost me a lot of money as well. So if I was going to spend money on this, I might as well go to a clinic that specialized in adult autism. I don't know any clinics or psychologists locally that's good with autistic adults, and maybe there is, and in fact I actually believe there are good doctors out there. It's just that with my limited social skills, there is no way in hell I was going to be able to network my way up there to get the help I actually need. So why I chose Melbourne is because I'm familiar with the location. I spent some time there on a study trip and I have a couple of friends who are based there as well, so I could meet up with them while I was at it. And also because I have just finished college at a ripe young age of 36. So I figured that taking a vacation after graduation was the perfect thing to do. I actually booked my session with the clinic there at least 6 months prior to going there. So if you do want to look for a clinic, be prepared for a long waiting list. Okay, so taking a flight to Australia wasn't expensive from Singapore because we have budget flights available. So my total expenditure, including the diagnosis itself, was at 2,000 Sing dollars, which is about $1,400 US. I'll be back later. Okay, so I went to this clinic and it seems a little bit out of the way. It was near a train station. It was not really that accessible for if you are physically disabled. I don't really recommend it for people who say have walking issues and all that because there was a flight of stairs going up. I didn't see any elevator options. Okay, so it was a small clinic, but it's pretty cozy. And the psychologist that was assigned to me was originally from Singapore as well, which is quite interesting. And I think maybe that also made me very comfortable because she also knows the kind of difficulties we face back home in Singapore, like not being able to find specialists or doctors who actually understand that mental health issues exist. At the start of the session, I was ready to go through the experience of recounting all the details of my life for like the umpteenth time, but the psychologist, she made it very, very comfortable. And for the first time, I feel like I wasn't being judged. The clinic even had a therapy dog, a cute little Shih Tzu who could sit next to you and you could pet it as you talked. And it was a pretty good experience actually, although recounting unpleasant experiences is never a fun thing. It was pretty refreshing to say the least. We did a lot of tests and quizzes, including for anxiety, depression, empathy, face reading. They were pretty thorough. The two main tests that they did are the Autism Spectrum Quotient Test, ASQ, and the Ritvo Autism Asperger's Diagnostic Scale Revised, which I covered in a previous video. I then made 2 more future online appointments with the clinic, and for the entire package of diagnosis, it came up to about 1,100 Australian dollars. That would be about the same in Sing dollars, which would be around slightly less than 800 US dollars. So this was the first time I left a clinic without feeling like a lot of frustration. In fact, I kind of felt refreshed after that, because someone actually listened to and believed me. Okay, so a couple of weeks later, the psychologist will have an online session to talk to one of my family members to collect more data. And then after that, they will have a session with me to tell me of their conclusion, a feedback session, and to give me the official diagnosis. Okay, so my official diagnosis, according to the report, is Autism Spectrum Disorder Level 1, requiring support in social communication and requiring support in restricted repetitive behavior. The level of autism in this case does not refer to the type of autism you have. So level 1 is requiring the minimal support out of the other levels, but it does not mean that you definitely have Asperger's. You can have Asperger's and be a level 2, requiring more support from your surroundings, from your family. So in my case, she told me that although I am currently at a level 1, there were times before that I had a lot of difficulties, and I had what I now know as depression attacks and constant health issues and all. I could be considered a level 2 during the burnout period that I had. You want to listen to a psychologist who tells you about self-advocacy and communities that promotes self-advocacy. And I believe that with the population of autistics being as high as 1 in 58, we are definitely here to stay, even if we live in a world that's not meant to accommodate us. Just like it doesn't accommodate people who are left-handed or colorblind or too short or too tall. We are here to stay. So that was the story of how I got my diagnosis. I had to go all the way to Melbourne to get it. I went back to Singapore. It didn't affect me in any way other than to make me a happier, more confident person. I would say it's definitely worth it, because as an adult, sometimes, you need to get that diagnosis, to get that piece of paper to move on with life, to not feel that you're stuck. And in my case, it was killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because me having a diagnosis meant that my dad was validated as well, and he also has Asperger's. That would validate the both of us. Now he uses it as an excuse to play with Lego. I hope that this video will help you in thinking about whether you need a diagnosis and whether you should do it locally, and what factors you might want to take into account, as well as the cost of getting a diagnosis. So that's it for today. I hope you found this video useful, and comment down below to tell me about your diagnostic journey and whether you think it was worth it. Okay, bye.